Hey friends, welcome back. Today I want to talk about the top 5 entrepreneurship tips that I wish I had known. Now if you're new here, I'm Jen, single mom, artist, and entrepreneur, and this channel is all about building a life that you love and doing it all on your own. Now I have been a bit MIA the last few weeks and I apologize for that. This is my busy season. All of the local art festivals are in August and September. And on top of that, it's also the beginning of the Christmas buying season. So there are tons of events and shows leading up to between now and the 1st of December. So I have been so incredibly busy with my nose to the grindstone because this is when I make most of my sales for my glass business is the last quarter of the year. So without further ado though, let's talk about those 5 things. I got my coffee, ready to go. My first tip is to focus on your strengths and delegate the things that are your weaknesses. I am one of those people who thinks I need to do everything all the time. And that is a big downfall because the things that I'm not good at take me 3 times as long as they would if I gave them to somebody who was good at them. Not to mention, even if they only take 15 minutes for that person that's good at them, 1, they're going to take me 45, and 2, just freeing up that 15 minutes is worth it, right? So if there's a task that you're really not good at, you're really not adept at, and that you don't have the time to learn, delegate it out to someone else. If that means hiring an assistant or hiring a social media manager, so be it. Now I get that when you are very first starting out, hiring help may not be an option. I get that. But don't spend the bulk of your time focusing on trying to figure out those things that you're not super good at, okay? Make sure that you're spending the bulk of your time doing those things that you're amazing at, because that's going to be the better use of your time. Absolutely. Number 2 is to embrace failure as a learning opportunity. Failing sucks, doesn't it? When something doesn't go right, when something doesn't work, it's hard, it hurts. But the best thing you can do with that opportunity is to sit down and look at why it failed and learn from it so that the next time, the next try won't be a failure. And to be honest, the next try probably will too, because the truth is growth happens through failure. So the more times you fail at it, the better you are getting at it. So every single failure is an opportunity to learn the lesson, to make the success an even bigger success. Number 3, and this one is hard, which is to prioritize self-care to avoid burnout. Now I have to admit, I am not the best person at this. In the last week, I've spent probably 60 hours doing glasswork. That is not pacing yourself. That is not prioritizing self-care. That is definitely not avoiding burnout. We can all agree on that, right? If I am working nonstop for a week or 2 weeks, and frankly, the next couple of weeks are going to look like that too, because again, this is my busy season, that is not prioritizing self-care. It's not. However, it is important to. Am I still going to scheduled appointments for mental health and for physical health? Yes, I am. Am I still doing my monthly massage for myself? Yes, I am. Am I still spending my time 20 minutes most nights before I go to bed in the hot tub? Yes, I am. And while none of those things seem like a big thing, they do matter. Am I getting enough sleep right now? No, I'm not. Have I been staying up too late? Yes, I have. So I'm not doing all the things right now, but I am still doing a big number of them. If you work too hard for too long, you will burn out. You have to put yourself first, at least some of the time. My 4th tip is to not be afraid to change direction when something isn't working. So if something's not working and you need to adapt, you need to change your strategy, you need to go in a whole other direction, that's okay. Because here's the thing, it's your business, it is your entrepreneurship opportunity, and you get to make the rules. So that can be really hard though, because as humans, when we have an idea, a lot of times we tend to get pretty married to it, and we want to make that idea work. But sometimes that idea just doesn't work. And we have to be willing to say, okay, how can I reframe this? How can I pivot this? How can I tweak this to make it better? To better the chances of success. So being willing to be flexible and to make changes is so incredibly important. Now, that doesn't mean that just because one person in your life says, oh, I don't think you should do it that way, I think you should do it this way, that you should constantly be changing directions. If you're changing directions all the time when the wind changes directions, you're never going to be successful, because you do have to put a certain amount of commitment towards something and give it time to work. But if you've given it the time and it isn't working, then you have to be willing to change things up. And the last one, and I think the one that may be hardest for most of us, is don't wait for things to be perfect before you take action. Now, I'm a bit of a perfectionist sometimes. In some ways I'm not at all. In some ways I'm like, nope, that's good enough. And I can't even really tell you for sure when I'm a perfectionist and when I'm not. But I think most of us by nature want things to be right. We want it to be top notch. And so you don't really want to put out something into the world that isn't ready, right? Now I'm not saying make sure you put it out there long before it's ready. Don't do that. But you also don't have to wait until every tiny thing is 100% perfect about it. Because if you wait for every tiny thing to be perfect, for every tiny detail to be perfect, for the conditions around you to be perfect, you will never do it. It's like when people talk about they're going to wait to have a baby until they can afford it. You can never afford to have a baby. Having kids is literally the most expensive thing any other human ever does. And you don't have any idea how expensive until they're here. So it's the same kind of concept. You can't wait until everything is perfect. But the flip side to that is don't put something out there when it's nowhere near ready either. What's that chick's name who just went to jail for fraud with the medical device? I can't think of her name. There was a Netflix special on her. She had that medical device where one drop of blood was supposed to tell you everything about yourself. Gosh, I cannot think of her name. Don't be like her. Don't put out a product that isn't actually a viable product. Okay, don't do that. That's the absolute opposite extreme of waiting till everything is perfect. Don't be her. But you don't have to wait until every single tiny detail is 100% perfect, because nothing will ever be truly 100% perfect. And if you wait for perfection, you'll never do anything at all. So what about you? Do you have any tips that you wish you had known about being an entrepreneur when you first started? Or any tips that you think would be super good for anybody else around you? I'd love to hear yours in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you soon.